my thing is, okay, so now that you tell me that bigger scheme, like kind of because I get the idea, but it doesn't sound realistic because it feels like once you add in the difference in the labor markets of what it costs to make something in China and what it costs to make something in America, and America, we want solid wages as we should. We have um the property, land costs more. It's like we it costs more to do it here. And I'm saying, though it's great, let's do it here. But how is that going to? I don't see that 5% or 10% difference in what we tax you here as opposed to what we tax you in tariffs being a great enough driving force to do it in America, where now the labor might charge you 300% more than what you paid in China. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you have to remember too, as corporations, they get taxed really differently than us as individual taxpayers. So
Mm-hmm.
like think of like Amazon, right? I don't think Amazon's actually ever showed a profit. And the reason for that is they keep reinvesting in their business. So if any business has any type of profit, that's what they'll be taxed on. Majority of businesses continue to reinvest. So businesses can come over here, start producing over here, reinvest in those companies for years on end before they actually start paying taxes on it. But the biggest event that he's thinking of is reshoring a lot of that stuff that we offshored over the last 20 years. So is it realistic that he can make it happen in 4 years? I don't think so. Is it a good thing that he tries to do this and get the ball rolling in that sense? I believe so, because if we look at wages and how wages have increased over time, they've been pretty, I mean, they've grown slightly, but they've been pretty flat in growth, and so being able to have a bunch of college kids that pay $200,000 for their college degree, and we have a lot of smart people coming out of school here, uh, you know, should they be have to go and they develop a product here and have to make it in China, instead of having to create jobs here that can actually be utilized by people here? Will it increase wages? I think it will over time. It's just, is he going to be able to do it in 4 years? Probably not. So this might be a couple decades situation that we have going on. And is it going to be possible for us to benefit from that in those next decade or so? I don't know. You know, I think if we keep everything status quo, where we're kind of moving right now, we're just kind of putting ourselves in the same position all the time, moving forward. So it's like there's nothing new is going to change. And I think that's really what he's going for. Like, we need a change. We need to figure this out. Is there going to be some pain in the short term? Absolutely. Is it going to be beneficial in the long term? Most likely, right?
I'm
Um,
now I just need you to wrap my head around the reality. So let's go into a little bit of like not so much reality to try to find the reality, right? So let's just say in a perfect world, he's able to pull all of this off in 2 years. That's the impossible, right?
yeah,
Um, can't happen. No president could pull that off. Too many strings to pull. But let's just say he did it. Boom. Let's say 50% of manufacturing that was offshore has now made it back to the States. Okay, so now let's just focus on those products. Those products left for a reason, right?
cheaper labor. Yeah, generally
Cheaper labor. And labor in most businesses is your largest um,
cost.
cost, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so it's here, right? We have higher wages, we have labor unions, we have um, higher property taxes, and I get that they don't all pay tax. I got that, but we also know that not every business that comes back is going to own the land that
yeah,
they have a business on. That land might be owned by someone else. They might be in another facility where there's multiple facilities. So there's still higher cost in doing business here. That's what I'm trying to find. Is he saying, and are you saying that all of those costs will still be sub the 25% tariff to where they would undergo all of that movement to then make it here? Is it that beneficial to that company?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and I don't really know the true answer to that. But from my perspective, depend because the thing is we bring in a lot of our goods from other countries, Mexico, Canada, China, Europe, right? All of our goods pretty much come from different countries at this point. So I think potentially, yeah, it's definitely could be beneficial in the long run, especially if you. So it's like think of it this way: every dollar that we make and we spend in the
Hmm.
economy, a portion of that dollar is somebody else's income and somebody else's profit, right? So a company profits from it, but somebody else's income is part of it
Right,
too.
right, right.
So if we have a more robust labor market and more people are working, that problem should balance itself out over time. Now, are we going to bring in goods from other countries, whether that's raw earth metals for things like silicon chips and things like that? Yeah, probably, right? I mean, we don't have a huge resource of that here. We have a
So
ton
now,
of
so,
oil.
so now you have to ship that too.
Yeah, so well, that's something that needs to be shipped, right? But we have like, this morning he mentioned he wants to put a tariff on steel and
Yeah, I saw
aluminum,
that. And aluminum, yeah.
right? Right. But we have major steel and aluminum manufacturers here, right? Alcoa is a big one here. Nucor is a big one here. Alcoa is aluminum, right? And I mean, you just look at their stock prices, they're up, 10, 12% today. They might even be up more, but since the last time I looked at them. So they're saying, hey, look, like we have more competition now, right? So some of those are going to be beneficial for us because we're going to ship those out to different countries. We're going to use them here. If they're more expensive to bring them in from China, we can get a better product here for cheaper. Might as well do that, right? So I think in some ways it's going to be good. In some ways it's going to be difficult. And in some ways we're going to have to try and work out and figure that out as business owners and as investors. And that's what I mean. I don't think this is an overnight situation, but I do believe that if we continue on the path that we were on before, it's just going to make it harder and harder. I mean, essentially, we're talking about a country who only consumes and brings products from other places. So we just design them and bring them here because there's cheaper labor in Vietnam or China or wherever, right? Malaysia, Philippines, whatever the case is. Where now all of a sudden we're boosting their economies just because of our ideas, and instead we can do the opposite. And is it going to be more expensive for the companies? At first, yeah.